5 o'clock. We'll call the April 1st meeting to order. I'm the Township Board of Trustees. 3 trustees, fiscal officer, road administrator, fire chief, valued guests, members of the media. Welcome. All right, let's begin. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of March 18th, 2019.
So moved.
Mr. Hollister moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Crockett seconds. Any further discussion regarding those minutes? One very minor change.
Thank you.
As minor as you can get. I think there's only 2 letters I
I
have.
appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes. And now entertain a motion to approve the payment of bills in the amount of $77,995.44. Yes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Broken down, general fund, $6,810.47. Fire fund, $27,933.34. Cemetery fund, $400 even. EMS billing, $8,667.68. Road and bridge, oh my goodness, $34,183.95. What is going on?
There's a big new toy
It's the,
on the property.
it's that gas tax money we're getting.
Yeah. Capital project, 0. Is there a motion to approve those counts? Payment of those counts.
I would make that motion.
Mr. Crockett moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Hollister second. Any further discussion regarding payment of these bills? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Apparently we have a member of the audience, Jennifer Adams, who'd like to ask a couple of questions. Jennifer, the floor is yours.
Yes, I am, number one, thank you for allowing me to speak today.
You're very welcome.
I am wondering if the township has any information, or what information the township has regarding the solar project that's going on in Miami Township, in a couple other places in Greene County.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't received a whole lot of information and I'm just trying to collect.
Mm-hmm. We're aware of it. We don't know any particulars, how many parcels, parcel owners, that sort of thing. You know, what the final number is that they're requiring. That's all being done by a private organization, the way I understand it anyway. Gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't know if there's a timetable or not. So again, we are aware of it, and our zoning administrator, our inspector, who is normally here this evening, has followed up on it a little more fully than we have, because of a certain interest out in the property owners out in the township. If he doesn't happen to walk in relatively soon, we can certainly give you his contact information, and you may learn more about it.
Okay, that would work. I did have a call into Mr. Rozak. He was on vacation last week and I didn't want to call him back while he was on vacation. So I do plan on calling him later this week,
Okay.
if that's the only source of
Yeah.
information. I mean, we're just not getting a lot,
Yeah.
I guess. I know a little bit because we happened to have some property that they were interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't think people who are without property, or people who are without property that they're interested in, really aren't being informed of anything. And it doesn't.
More than likely not, because I'm sure they're not being, they're not being addressed, approached for
Right,
any reason.
right. And that's kind of what I was asking.
Our former trustee, Lamar Spracklin, knows quite a bit. I've talked to him a couple times.
Okay,
He'd probably be happy just to talk on the phone if you called him up.
okay,
We had someone from the Farm Bureau come talk in December about our options. Although the, am I remembering right, Power Sighting Board
Mm-hmm.
has authority overriding our zoning. We can make comments and we can sort of be at the table as a stakeholder, but with no vote. we can request a hearing, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And the fellow from the Farm Bureau spoke of a range of considerations that we could push, that there was adequate consideration of drainage issues and runoff and, but we really don't have we don't have any direct authority.
Okay. Once it goes to the power siting board, are the citizens in the area, are they notified that it gets there, or, I mean, I could
Good
call them and
question.
ask them.
I believe they're public hearings, yes. I don't know
Okay.
what,
But how they're
yeah, I
announced.
wonder how the notices are made.
Okay.
Is there a second question? Let's look at two.
Well, it doesn't sound like, you'll be able to answer. Some of them were a little bit more specific regarding if we know any of the locations that they're entertaining, and what are the plans for keeping, the population informed, just in general, either the surrounding properties or just the community as a whole.
Mhm.
That was my question.
Well, either Richard or Lamar might have some of that information.
You know, Lamar had some detail of, I'd rather not mention names because for me it would be like third-hand information.
Right.
But there were, you know, cases, for instance, of people who refused, they didn't want, their land used for an array, but they were willing to have, transmission lines go across their property, for instance.
Mhm.
So there are specifics floating out there that,
Okay.
and my understanding is most of what they've been doing is in Cedarville Township.
Yeah, I think they're doing some stuff near our home. We happen to be Miami Township, just north of Cedarville Township. But I think it includes both.
Oh, yeah, some, I mean,
Yeah. Their letter did cite, so initially they sent us a letter because of they were interested in the property. In their letter, they had cited, Xenia, Cedarville, and Miami Township in the Greene County areas. That's all I recall being listed. But that's all, I don't have anything more specific other than secondhand, third-hand.
and there's also a fellow at the Ohio State Extension Service who specializes in solar issues.
Okay.
I don't have his name here, but imagine if you went to the extension website, there'd be contact information in there.
Okay, thank you. That's all
Okay. Well, you're certainly welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting or.
Leave.
Well, Margaret.
I can just let her go if she wants to.
I have. I'm free.
Let her know it's fine.
I'm gonna stay for a little
Yeah,
bit.
and if you leave, the camera won't even know.
Okay, good.
You'll be released on your own recognizance.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's move along. A fair amount of correspondence to go through here briefly. Some emails regarding the DCIC starting the 501c3 application process, Economic Sustainability Commission meetings for April 3rd. We needed a copy of OIS Connector resolution sent to Village Manager Bates for some reason, I'm not sure. Notification of an April 10th luncheon with the new village manager candidates, the 4 candidates. A memo from House Representative Rick Corrales to Road Administrator Vilkenauer regarding a 629 grant program. We can discuss that, your interest in that, your report. We have minutes of March 27th and March 20th, conference calls with MSA, USDA, and Miami Township. And a copy of the request for qualifications that are currently being advertised in three newspapers for a construction manager at risk. Person. The contract is something different, but anyway. That might be what that is. Scope of service emails from MSA Chris Weider and Miami Township, email from Miami Township Value Engineering, reference materials. Not sure what that is. Notice from county auditor about the fire EMS levy expiration in 2019, which we do need to discuss under fire. Meeting minutes for the March 19th RPCC meeting, Green County Township Association, March 12th meeting minutes, cemetery grant program update from Department of Commerce. Email from Otarma about adding vehicle to the policy, that would be the tanker. Email from Bath Township trustee Steve Ross regarding fire EMS reporting. The 2020 census participant statistical area program meeting of April 19th. Request for input for the new superintendent for Yellow Spring Schools. The January 15th zoning commission meeting minutes, NVRPC's news release on the census invitation to comment on the boundaries, fund status, revenue status, preparation status for March 1st. Is there any further correspondence?
Yeah, I guess. Is it 2018 or 19? Well, you know. I haven't. You said March 1st, and I put 2018, so we're just.
Oh. I had one additional piece of correspondence that came in late this evening that I thought might be of interest to the board. And it's from Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Alice DeWine, and she writes, I just wanted to write to let you know that I've accepted a position with the Clark County Prosecutor, and today's my last day here in Greene County. I've enjoyed the opportunity of representing you in the past year. I've learned so much. Please contact Ms. DeBellis. Should you need anything, there are a few projects I haven't completed and meetings I have set up. I have passed everything on to Eli, and she intends to be at any of those meetings that she's scheduled. So
Where's she going?
she's going to Clark County.
Oh,
You know, so-
leaving, going to Clark.
Wow.
Yeah, so don't know about a replacement yet. It's a relatively quick decision and quick job change, so.
Wow. Well, good for her.
All right, hearing no further correspondence, Chief, the floor is yours.
Alrighty. Since the last meeting, we've had 34 EMS calls, 13 fire incidents, I've done 3 fire safety inspections. EMS calls just keep ticking along.
Yeah, they do.
And actually, out of the 34 in the last 2 weeks, I think only 3 were not transported to the hospital.
Really?
Everybody else went to the hospital, which is unusual. The tanker's air leak turned out to be a little more sinister than we had originally thought, or Eamon had thought. He fixed the one part and then they discovered another leak, but now everything looks like it's taken care of, except now we just discovered something else. But I think that will survive. So, yeah, this is all part of the evil Fairborn plan. Anyway, no, you take that tanker. It'll be fine. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. So we're just waiting to get it into PNR to get a radio put in it, since it doesn't have one. And then, if all goes according to plan, it'll go from PNR to Danco to get striked, and then come back and we'll back it right in, and it'll be warm enough then, and the old guy can sit outside at Dan's place and not worry about freezing.
Right.
For now, at least. So that's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it just rolls over in the bay and find it dead. But we've got a resolution, excuse me, I totally flipped the numbers there. 2019-13, not 13-2019. But anyway, appointment of a new volunteer. Nate Walter is a firefighter. Wants to be an EMT. He's friends with current member Evan France, which we won't hold against him.
Mm-hmm.
But he interviewed very well. He works here in town at Cresco Labs. He's a process engineer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what that is, but seems to enjoy his job there. So he's a good guy. The guys who interviewed him said he was did very nicely. So there you
I understand that Cresco releases employees for so many hours of volunteer a quarter.
go. Yes, they have some thing like that. So we will explore that, I think, in later in the day.
Mm-hmm. Where where's this opportunity for EMT training?
I'm not sure yet. We have to figure that one out still. Hopefully, Premier will do another class over the summer. $750.
Yeah,
Very nice.
nice price.
Very nice price. But yeah, he seems like a good kid.
Okay.
Oh, this is just something good. Totally came out of the blue. About 3 months ago, Rick Peralez's legislative assistant emailed me.
Should we pass a resolution before we?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I didn't know if that was related.
No, it wasn't. I'm
So
totally-
I entertain a motion to approve resolution 2019-13, the appointment of an MT, our volunteer, Nate Walters. Is there a motion?
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion regarding passing resolution 2019-13? Hearing none, may we vote, please?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry about
You're welcome.
rushing you through that.
Thank you.
Jet lag.
Yeah, still, apparently.
Thank you for
Um,
catching it.
Oh, so, yeah, Rick Peralez's legislative assistant emailed me and said he wanted to know if we had any award, fire department award winners from the year, and I said yes, so I sent him the list, and never heard anything back, and I figured, all right, well, it's just one of those nice things. that
You
they-
2018 or 19?
Well, 18.
Uh,
And then yesterday we received, all the guys received these really cool House of Representatives,
very nice.
things, so, I'll make sure that each of the guys get them. Denny, Brett, Ryan, Casey, and Joe all received them, so that's very nice. And interestingly, I guess this is just what they do, but I just sent them a list of names, and they apparently researched who they were. Because like Brett lives in Centerville, so his is signed by both Rick Peralez and Jim Butler, who's his representative.
Yeah.
Casey lives in West Carrollton, his representative signed it. I guess
Nice.
these are a little more in-depth than I thought they would be, so.
Your tax dollars at work right there.
Yeah. I mean, privacy people would probably think, oh God, why the hell?
The $62 million state of Ohio budget for 2019,
It's all going to that.
yeah.
Background checks. And also in the world of awards, I mentioned the last meeting,
Mhm.
we the guys we're gonna give a commendation to, and Kettering Health Network was gonna come. So they're gonna come on, if it's okay with you guys, the May 6th meeting.
These things.
They're representative from Kettering Health Network here to present the guys with something.
I'm sure that would be nice.
Yeah. And that's, the only other thing is, there's a bill in there for Clay and Stan, the design people. They did some design work for us on 2 projects, but one was redesigning our ad in the Yellow Springs News, which has been the same for a long time.
Mhm.
And it ran last week for the first time, I thought it was very nice. And it uses our new theme and all that kind of stuff, so. There you go. Hopefully, the phone will be ringing off the hook.
Sure will.
And that's it.
I noticed that 25 years ago, we hired first professional EMT, part-time.
25 years ago?
Just a little news from the past.
First professional.
Like, paid? I don't know, if I would have known it 25 years ago. I would think.
Well, maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Because I've been here. Almost 25 years.
Oh,
There's Hope was here before me.
Hope was announcing it, yeah.
No. She was here before I was.
If Hope was announcing it, Hope was employed
Yeah.
as a professional EMT.
Oh,
Well, cool. Well,
Just, I'll make a copy of the article,
okay.
frame it for you.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
You have any hopes of burning the cemetery?
Yes, I was speaking with Road Czar, Gokenauer. They're planning on burning it tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
For drill, as long as there's, winds don't kick it.
Mm.
But yeah, that's the plan, it's
Okay.
gonna round up a crew and burn that baby. Now, you just want the back part burned,
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
Well, you need the tubs, the
What?
metal tubs.
Oh, yeah, we use those to cover up Probably a good idea. If it
We
worked.
probably got more stones than tubs, so.
They might be able to be moved as they go, I don't know.
Doing the quantity, 6 of them, so if you want, I'm sure you get them.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. It
Have
did
you
what it
used
was
them
supposed to.
before?
I thought it did, yeah.
Yeah, they worked fine before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool, okay.
Alright, cool. You just have them out there at the shop?
I'll make sure you get them tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Still eagerly awaiting the 2018 annual report,
So what?
and so is our new website with a thing that says coming soon
Soon.
on it.
Hopefully, it soon should be within, it should be done for the next meeting, so.
Ah, excellent. All right, anything else with fire?
I'm still interested in a comparison of how much we're paying to surrounding townships.
I emailed Deputy Chief Greg Beagle from Zinc Township to ask. I thought Alex had done that. Alex did a budget comparison, not salaries, so I was incorrect. But Deputy Chief Beagle did a survey last year.
That would be enough for me.
So he's gonna send me his results, and he did all the local departments. So I thought I still had it, but apparently it's lost in my email somewhere. So. But once I get that, I'll get it to you guys.
Cool.
Should give you an idea at least.
Okay, we'll move to new firehouse report. You gentlemen have probably followed where we are with correspondence and the like and the emails here in and out, but I think maybe for the benefit of the audience, the media, and the viewing folks at home, I'll briefly go on record as to what we've done in the past couple of weeks. Because we have made some, in my opinion, I think we've made some progress, and I'm encouraged that we're gonna get this moved along more quickly than we thought 2 weeks ago, anyway. So, as you may recall, at our last meeting, we talked about how we've made a change to go from single prime contracts, one general contractor bidding on the whole thing, to a multiple prime contract type of system using a construction manager where they would bid individual portions of the building, the roof, the electric, the plumbing, the asphalt, all individually in order to actually, for lack of a better word, to pit these subcontractors one against each other to get a better bid, as opposed to just being one portion of a whole bid. So we decided to move along with that option and put an ad in the paper of the papers, the Dayton Daily News, the Cincinnati Enquirer, and the Columbus Dispatch for 3 weeks in April, which began last Wednesday, so it would be 3 Wednesdays, and then those requests for qualifications for construction managers who would do that job would be due here and for review and assessment. Just about that time, an architect from App Architects in Kettering, who did the work on the 5 firehouses that were just recently built in Kettering, reached out to us and offered his professional services to, quote, have a new set of eyes, take a look at our drawings and specs, perhaps maybe see something that might save us money over and above what we've already been kicking around with that most recent memo from MSA about what the plan was for changing the footprint and just that, all those things that we talked about. And I went and I met with a man, Tim Bennett, his name, very nice gentleman, very professional, and I believe he was the one who oversaw the design work for the different firehouses for Kettering, so he knew of which what he was speaking. And he agreed, with a little prodding, to act as a consultant, a paid consultant for us, to review our drawings and make whatever recommendations he thought might benefit us. So I was encouraged by that. And then I think the next day, we were approached by the WDC group in Springfield for somewhat the same idea, to offer their services to see what might be possible in cost saving, and also to kind of explain how this whole construction manager, single prime bid, multi-prime bid, all these different methods of project delivery, were, and what they thought might be the best for us. And I said, well, really, if you think you've got some better plan, as it were, put it together and let us know. So a couple days later, I got a message that they would like to meet, and so I went up to Springfield and met with them it was a week ago today, in the morning, and Chris Widener gave a lengthy, thorough, and very enlightening, because how much of this do I know? I don't know this stuff. Explanation of how this stuff works. And to kind of boil it down, the single prime method, where you put it out for bids, the general contractor, it depends upon how well the economy is doing, but they basically mark up the cost 15% as a profit for theirs. And then they go out and they get bids and they build the building. Now the construction manager, there's two kinds of construction manager. One's called construction manager at risk, and one's called a construction manager agency. The construction manager at risk puts out multiple prime contracts, again for the roofing and the plumbing, and they put that out and they enter into a contract with the subcontractor. They professionally enter into the contract for their services, and they are taking the risk that the subcontractor will do the work for the amount of money to the quality that's required. They take that risk. And then there's the other kind, which is called the construction manager agent, and the construction manager agent does not contract with the subcontractors. They find the subcontractors, they negotiate the best price, the best quality service, and then they recommend to the user, us, to contract with these people, and then we contract with them through our contract attorney, which he's patiently waiting in Columbus for the last 3 years or 2 years, whatever it's been, to actually make a contract with somebody, and then we hold the contract, and we assume the risk, and if something goes wrong with the subcontractor, it's our responsibility, along with the construction manager agent, to find a replacement and get it done for the right price and all that stuff. Lots of information, and so I said, okay. And the Widener Group is a construction manager. They're really a hybrid. They're a combination of construction manager, agent, and single prime. Well, the design bid part, where the one office is both architect and construction manager. That's kind of what they do. Now, the single prime contractor or operation gets, let's say, 15%. A construction manager at risk gets 8%, not 15%. But he also gets, on a contingency, another 8% for expenses. That includes contingencies, it includes all the soft costs like site preparation and fencing and putting the trailers on and hiring the people to be there to inspect and to oversee and all of that stuff. So you got 15% as a single prime contractor. You now have 16% as a construction manager at risk, we ain't saving any money that way. A construction manager agent, well, anyway, the Widener Group as a construction manager agent takes a flat 4% fee. And with no expenses on top of that. And so, you know, doing the math, we would be saving money by potentially going that route. I told them, thank you very much, I'll take all this information back and try and put it into some sort of logic and talk with our architect, talk with our financial arm, USDA, and see if you know, if they thought we should proceed this way. So the first call I got a call from Ashley before I was able to give him a call. And he said in no uncertain terms that USDA would not approve a construction manager type of form of delivery. And in the past, they have done a couple of construction manager at risks, but never a construction manager agent, which is what the C group.
Wasn't this their idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, it was my idea, but they thought it was a good idea.
Okay, I knew they were in there somewhere. Enthusiastic.
But,
Okay.
now there's a big but to this. But, for the past 10 or 15 years, something like that, Ashley has worked with the Widener Group as a construction manager agent, his hybrid, the way he does it, the way Widener does it, and he is very pleased with the results, very pleased with the amount of cost savings that Widener gets when he gets in there and does the research. He says it's just amazing how many subcontractors, number one, they know in the industry, and they know which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones, and so they'll work with them to try and get the right price, and they'll watch them like a hawk, and all that stuff. And I put a copy, I'm sure somebody has seen it, of the scope of service, maybe that's what we refer to, the scope of service that Widener puts out as to what they do as part of their service.
I'm confused.
Me too, go ahead.
You just said Ashley, while at the USDA, has been working with Widener on other projects.
Yeah.
And that they won't let us do it.
They won't let us do any other except for Widener.
Oh.
Oh, that's starting to sound like a kickback, but.
I don't know. Okay, so then we need to talk to MSA about this, because the whole thing I was concerned about with talking with App Architecture or talking with WC Group or Widener Group was that, MSA would be put off by it, and, it might cause some hard feelings or those sorts of things. And, but they were very open to having, somebody else review it, or at least they said they were, and so that's why I proceeded down that way. So then I thought, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I called and see what they thought of this idea of the hybrid working with the Widener Group as a CMA, basically as a, and this is how Ashley Kelly describes it to me. MSA would still be the lead everything on the project. They would have the total responsibility and the same responsibility for getting a final product built at the price that we agreed to when we started. But they would hire Widener's Group as a subcontractor under what's called an additional services program within the AIA architectural contract that we signed with MSA. There is a line for additional services, and that's where this would go. And so, I sent Nestor that set of information, that set of pages, that information on the scope of service that he would put out. And I had a lengthy conversation with him, on the phone last week. And explained to him kind of how as I understood it would go, which was different than the way he understood it would go, which I think was the more traditional construction manager at risk, or maybe even the agent. And he came back to me and said that he had discussed it with Michael Schuster, and said that they, although it was sounded interesting as a way to do this, they would not go that direction for a couple of reasons. One, they didn't feel their insurance would cover another firm coming in and doing work that they're supposed to be doing, and a couple of other different points, which ended up being not actually accurate, and maybe I wasn't clear enough as to what Widener was proposing to do in this project. And once we had a conference call last Wednesday, and Ashley Kelly was able to explain more fully to Dan and Nestor exactly what it was, the service that they provide. Nestor basically said, sounds fine to me, you know, no problem. You know, they're not, because he was thinking of the construction manager at risk, where they would take the contracts under their own firms. The construction manager at risk would have the contracts, whereas MSA is contractually obligated to us to take the contracts. And he said that wouldn't work.
Right.
But since the contracts would then be with the township and not with them, there wouldn't be a problem doing it that way. Anyway. So, we are meeting, Thursday. Thursday in Wilmington to kind of work out the nuts and bolts of whose responsibility is whose for doing this. This meeting, and I think I told you that really has gonna have nothing to do with the design or any of the value engineering or any of the decisions in that regard. It's just a matter of trying to get these people, you know, put together so they can work together to move along. And I'm not 100% sure at this point why, but you don't, at that point, you don't put things out for bids. I mean, you basically, the same way, you know, we're putting this request for qualifications for a construction manager out in an advertisement. All that is a request for qualifications, very similar to the way you did it originally for the request for qualifications for the architects. They're not making a proposal. You're not picking the top three or anything. I mean, you judge them and then you decide on your judgment points, sort of thing. We wouldn't be doing that with this, because this is a subcontractor, not a construction manager thing. Anyway,
Who are we advertising for?
well, we're advertising for a construction manager at risk, and the reason we are is because those ads were placed prior to my discussions with Ashley and Widener. So we may need them as a fallback if this doesn't work out. You never know. We may need, you know, the information from App Architecture about, value engineering and cost savings, and there's also a couple of other different possibilities of contacting contractors who had bid on this project to find out where savings might be made in their opinion. So, if they all seem to get along well and, you know, shake hands and smoke cigars and stuff, then they will begin work redesigning it to get it to a price that they both would agree would be feasible to do. And that could potentially save us a fair amount of time. Maybe not a ton, but instead of maybe 6 months, we might be able to get some of these contracts put out in 3 months, what they thought, so that'd be good too.
Yeah.
Get a little more of a head start on getting this thing under
Yeah,
roof
roof
before,
before.
before the weather turns. So, that's kinda where we are. If you have any questions, good luck with getting an answer, but I'll be happy to try.
I asked mine along the way.
Okay, all right.
Maybe you can bring
Just,
the contract
made
manager,
minutes.
you can bring the contract attorney to the meeting, Wilmington, maybe.
Yeah, that's, we'll get it all straightened out. So I'm sorry about that long-winded, explanation, but I thought it was good to bring everybody up to speed as to
Yeah.
where we are. Okay. So let's move to, Cemetery Road.
Cemetery. Well, I got a couple ashes last week, we had one last Saturday and Thursday morning,
Mm-hmm.
gonna have one next Monday in Twin Forks.
Mm-hmm.
This is already scheduled, like 11 o'clock. That's what it's like.
Did you say next Monday? Is that what you said?
The 8th,
Uh,
next Monday,
yeah, I think so.
11 o'clock. Cleaned up all the flowers and stuff down at the cemetery, so I put them to do,
Mm-hmm.
not remember to put them in the dumpster till I dump it.
Mm-hmm.
Soon after, we can pick it up. About it, probably start mowing for long, when the weather changes, you know,
No,
weeks,
well,
we're ready.
first week in April,
Mhm.
ready to go.
That's all I have for cemetery.
Okay. Have you tried your new cemetery computer yet?
Yes, but I couldn't get out of Clifton to go to Twin Forks. I didn't do something. I got in and pulled up Clifton.
Which part?
I was looking for a name. I was trying to find something.
Not on the website, oh, you were trying to find something, you went to the website,
I went in,
burial search?
and it was on, I went in the password, whatever, and it pulled up the Clifton thing. I think we were looking at one day or something. I couldn't navigate. You'll have to,
Okay, cause it
you have to run me through again
should
quickly.
be, yeah, cause it should be one big happy family, every,
Right, and I,
every,
I tried to go in Forest in and I went to it, but I couldn't do anything with it, and every time I tried to punch a name in, it went back to Forest, so I'm not doing something. If you run me through the ringer again, it'll be all right.
okay, sure.
Cause it can be very helpful.
Mhm. We were asked a couple days ago that potentially when you're mowing the, circle,
Mm-hmm.
that you couldn't knock off the mill grass.
Mm-hmm.
You take a look and see if you can work that in your schedule.
Sure. I was asked about that not long ago, and someone that asked me said they were asking you, so I said I'd wait till.
Well, she asked me.
Cause I couldn't see why not, we used to take care of it.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't go in there and probably take an hour,
Yeah.
sure it'll make it look nice.
Mhm.
I'll look at it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you like to give a brief presentation on your new piece of equipment?
I'd like to thank the trustees for the recent equipment upgrade. It's a very valuable piece of equipment.
Well, you're very welcome.
It's quite a bit more than I expected.
I hope
I mean, operation wise, it's a jewel.
I'm sure you'll put it to good use and have many
Oh, I
happy
will.
years of
I will, it's
service.
very universal. We already used it some.
You hear anything from Tim about the,
Not yet. Did he send anything to you?
Nope.
I called today and left a message, you didn't get back to me, so I'll try in the morning.
I'm not following
Yeah, you asked Tim, did you ever Jim? No.
Tim about
Oh,
what.
We don't know what you
the
guys
bucket,
talking about.
we have to purchase a bucket for it, yeah. I have a straight bucket, but we need a combination bucket, and he's on the search. He didn't get back to me, I called and left him a message, but I'll try again tomorrow. He said they get, used ones or new ones, I said, either way, I need one. If you can find me a used one, fine, if not,
would you like to explain what a combination bucket does?
it opens so I can grab things. Very, very useful tool for us, we use that for a lot of them. Logs, rocks, really beneficial. Hopefully, I'll have an answer on that pretty soon. We We use that bucket more than anything
Mhm.
on the bucket.
Any, thought in the back of your mind about that, catch basin on Tobias?
Mm-hmm. We're gonna move it.
I know you're thinking about it, but,
I was hoping maybe next week, I hope it this week, but it's not gonna happen this week, maybe next week.
you know.
Shouldn't take long, day at the most,
Yeah.
to remove it. Cause I looked up there today and water is running down the road again, but it's running right where I wanna put it, right where I wanted to put it in the first place.
Mhm.
That's where it's gonna go.
Mhm.
And farmers, the property owner's okay with it, but we talked about
Did
it back in February.
Mhm.
We talked about it. So it's on the list.
Okay. I just wanted to let you know that, the property owner, I talked to the property owner on that tree across the Morris Bean, entrance, the dead tree that's leaning
I
on the
spoke
live
with him
stream.
today also.
Pardon me?
I spoke with him today too.
Well, there you go.
So
All right,
we got it worked out.
okay. Well, onward then. Don, I'm not sure well, you weren't here, but I'm not sure that you understood that every once in a while, when we have, some additional funds available in the cemeteries, we'll, hire a small group of people to come and repair broken headstones and monuments, pick them back up if they're lying on the ground, put them back together, and they can actually cement broken pieces together, they can actually fabricate new parts that, new corners or edges or something, if something needs it. And we haven't done that for quite a while. I think we did it the first year we owned the cemetery, Glen Forest, right?
2013 maybe.
2013? So it's been a while,
It's been a while.
and we seem to
Certainly
be.
could use it in Clifton.
Well, that's where we had them originally.
Mhm.
That's how we went to a seminar on it.
Yeah.
And they worked there 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Then
spent a
they-
bundle, yeah, and they did a lot,
Oh,
but there's a
yeah.
lot to do, of course. Of course, problem with Clifton doesn't generate a whole lot of income, a lot of excess income.
Well, the people who say they would volunteer, how hard is it to learn how to do the gluing and?
Pretty hard.
That's what I talked about the other day with you. Maybe do a seminar
Mhm.
on a Saturday. Have them come in for the week and then have them do a seminar, or do the seminar and then stick around for the week.
You need work tables, you need clamps, you need,
Mhm.
like, a bobcat to move, some of these heavier pieces around. Some of them have, what was that tripod that we made to lift up?
Right, use a chain hoist. And,
Yeah, the chain hoist.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you can move stones around, take them
A
apart.
lot of the ones in Clifton are really fairly small.
Well, yes, but there are some big ones that need attention, but you're talking about maybe Glen Forest.
Mhm. And I think the last time we had them, and they work by the week, it was 3,500, I think, per
35,
week.
37, something
Yeah.
like
And I noticed we're running, a little over 45,000 in cash in the cemetery account. So I thought maybe we'd contact these folks and see if we could schedule a week this year. Would be that
I
idea.
like that idea. That sounds good.
They're very good. They're very good at what they do.
This is the same group that we've used in the
Wall,
past.
graveyard groomers,
Yeah.
wall, they're very good at what they do.
What are they called?
Graveyard groomers.
So,
They're still in business,
yeah,
so long.
I found his card, I'll try to get hold of him.
so I entertain a motion to, hire graveyard groomers for hopefully a week this year.
Could we, rather than make it a full authorization if we don't know the price,
Or even if they're available.
we would approach and
We can do that. I would, yeah,
that might, what's,
it's fairly early in the year, they tend to,
They like the fall. They tend, they'll work anytime, but
Mhm.
it seems like we had them in the month of September,
mhm.
sometime mid, late, early October.
everything, couldn't we approach them and ask what they're charging now, or?
Oh, I will, I'll ask them. They give a little bit
And
more.
then,
It was
make a,
not
formal
100 an
motion.
hour, but they only charge us 90 an hour. For some reason,
Well, we put them up too.
it's probably one. It averaged around 37, 35, like you said, somewhere in there is what it averaged for the week.
Okay,
well,
well,
But they'll
I'm in
do.
favor of it, I'm just,
They'll
I
do
don't wanna
100 soon.
make a motion authorizing it with sort of open-ended price.
okay, well,
I'll make contact with them.
we'll look at that then the next meeting, or whenever we get the information.
You want it just for Glen Forest, or you want to consider both?
Yeah, just for Red Forest right now. Yeah, the Clifton Cemetery Board's gonna need to meet and review
Right.
finances and, you know, all of that, so.
I'll have it go for you. North there, so.
So you're gonna get a Clifton Cemetery maintenance invoice?
Yeah. Turn it into the clerk.
You have turned it into the clerk?
I will.
You will.
That's what I
But you
said.
said at the last meeting that you will.
I will.
It's like May is coming up in a
Double
month.
will.
Will
It'll be here this week.
Alright. What's your recommendation for who could we get to trace that, water leak and repair it in Glen Forest? Like now,
Oh, you want me to get somebody? I was gonna do it.
you don't have
I
time.
don't have time.
I mean, is that something AC Service does?
I could have them check it out. Ask them. If they have Van Lee dig for them, if they do.
Well, sure, but you gotta, I mean, how do they know where it is?
I'm not sure, you know, we shut it off and it's not leaking, so I don't know if it's just the valve in the pit. If when we open it up, it leaks more, we shut it, it's still leak, I don't know. We dried up when we had the water shut off.
Well,
Let's
I'd like to
find
get that
out.
fixed, because people enjoy having that ability
Well,
to have the
yeah.
water.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the name Elizabeth Yealy or Yelly? Owns grade 156 in Natural Burial?
Yes,
Any
your
idea?
son's in there, is that right?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure her son's in there.
That we talked about last time?
Mm-hmm. He's a 19-year-old.
Okay, well, we'll have to,
I know I got that info. We didn't
you know
report
what year that was? Was it last year
17.
or 17? Okay, I'll look into 17's transit permits. And Neil
Dawson.
Dawson's in,
133,
no, he's in 33, not 133.
or 33 on the north side. He's in 33.
So we're gonna figure out who's in 133. Unless I made a typo.
Nobody. I just listed it one. See, he's in 33. I don't think anybody's in 133. Yeah. Let's find out.
Paperwork. Okay, anything else for road and bridges?
There's a resolution, the agreement between the Green County engineer and the Miami Township Board of Trustees for the collective bid. Dealio has to be a resolution.
Okay, is there a number?
There is, it's 2019-11, do you want me to read it?
Please.
Okay. It says the Green County engineer and the Miami Township Board of Trustees, hereinafter referred to as the engineer and the trustees respectively, agree to the following. Whereas the trustees desire to participate with the engineer in the competitive bid contract for the collective 422 chip seal for 2019 as bid by the county engineer. Whereas all work within the trustees' jurisdiction shall be inspected by and all questions decided which may arise as to quality and acceptability of materials furnished, work performed, the rate of progress, the interpretation of the specifications by the trustees and the acceptable fulfillment of the contract on the part of the contractor. And whereas the contractor will invoice the trustees directly for the actual quantities of work performed, all line items, extras, and or negotiated extra work in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 5575.05. And whereas the engineer shall withhold all retainage for the total bid contract of collective 422 chip seal for 2019 from the county's share of the work. The county engineer will ensure that the work has been performed in accordance with the trustees' instructions prior to releasing the retainage. Therefore, the acceptance of this agreement is indicated by the signatures below.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2019-11?
I so move.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion regarding that motion? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Everybody needs to sign that at the leisure.
How do you check into the 6.0? You wanna check into that?
We can talk about that after the meeting. So, fiscal officer's report, please.
We have a resolution.
Another resolution?
Well, apparently when we did our permanent appropriations, we forgot to appropriate any money for Dan's new toy.
I see.
What's the
We
way?
had machinery, equipment, and furniture appropriations in the fire fund, but we didn't do anything for the road. But, well, maybe because we just didn't know how much we wanted to spend. Anywho, resolution 2019-12, amendment of permanent appropriations. Whereas it is an ongoing process to accurately appropriate funds according to the needs of township, now therefore the trustees authorize an amendment to the following permanent appropriation. So, and again, gas tax fund, we put $30,000 in machinery, equipment, and furniture to cover the costs and the combination bucket purchase. That's it. That's 2019-12.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2019-12? Amendment of permanent appropriations.
I'll make that motion.
Crockett moves, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Hollister seconds, is there any further discussion regarding that resolution? Hearing none, may we vote please?
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutcher? Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
I don't think I have anything else to report at the moment.
Do you happen to know right off the top of your head on revenue status 2191, 999, there's an amount of $67,000, $67,500. I just was curious where we anticipate that from?
Is that the monies from that township?
That
Uh,
went,
What
that went
fund
into
are you in?
contract.
I don't know, I don't even have that report in front of me.
Okay, here.
Revenue status, I'm not sure right off the top of my head where that came from.
Okay.
These figures were issued by the county auditor,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, and so, I don't know, it's not, right off the top of my head, I'm like, it's not.
It just, it's funny, it's so close to the intergovernmental distribution
Yeah,
above it.
I know, I saw that.
$250 difference.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't remember it now, but I can look it up.
Okay, thank you.
Find out. Anything else?
I was just gonna ask. Anything else from you?
No, I think we're good for a minute.
Anything else with fiscal officer on the board? Hearing none, we'll move to the zoning inspector's report, first meeting of each month. See, no
Did you
zoning
say he was on
inspector.
vacation?
A chairless.
When I called him last week, he was in Paris, or I think he
Yeah.
said Paris.
Someone's over
And
there.
I didn't dare call back. kind of want to interrupt that.
Visiting his
Visiting
grandchildren.
his daughter.
Guess we can put his paycheck back in the safe.
I will say that Richard called me since the last meeting about asking whether I could attend and attend the zoning commission meeting on the 16th of April to convey the trustees' desires about PUD. And I don't really know what our desires are, other than that we voted for maintaining the current provisions, except we took out industry and commercial options. So my thought is I would get draft, or get sample resolutions from other townships, just do a little research about different options.
That's a good idea.
But if you guys have anything specific you want me to say?
Me personally, without going through it and put some, some thought into where I think we might change things, I don't at the moment.
Okay. I'll just sort of do a best practices list, and they can chew on it.
Okay, great. Well, guess we've got that zoning inspector's report taken care of. Any new business this evening? Any old business this evening? I have one piece of old business. I attended the organizational meeting for the Community Development Investment Corporation formation that's in process in the village, and obviously then in the township, of which we would have a seat. And I'm not sure I brought this up at the last meeting, but if I didn't, I'm gonna do it. If I did, I'm gonna do it again. There was a request from the board for each one of the board members to make a contribution towards the startup costs for the CDIC.
You got it, you got it.
Of an amount of $500 each. Now, in addition to the $500, the Village of Yellow Springs is going to match that amount to put into the startup fund. And an additional amount yet to be determined, because they have not yet met today, and we'll be meeting this evening, and we'll be discussing what amount of money they'd like the village in addition to the matching. And number of $10,000 has been was bandied around as a possibility. So this is money for good old lawyers to review the bylaws, to review the 501c3 startup paperwork, to potentially get the financial arm set up, banking oversight on that, all of those sorts of, because the CDIC potentially would be a committee that would control relatively large amounts of money on projects, either acquiring them or disposing of them. So it's probably going to be a little more than just going down to the U.S. Bank and getting a little checkbook and start putting zeros behind the amount. So all of those things have got to be worked out, and it's going to end up requiring a little bit of funds. So I would like your opinion as to whether you want to support that, that contribution.
So that would be $500.
Correct.
I'm for it.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think that, it sounds like the money is needed.
Mhm. And you will be somewhat involved with that because as the member of the Economic Sustainability Committee, they are going to be, they're going to obviously work closely with this CDIC and to formulate plans for, what would be appropriate economic development, what would be appropriate incentives, what would be appropriate siting for, say, available property. I do know that it was mentioned by the school superintendent that the school is, I don't know how actively, but somewhat actively pursuing the possibility of selling real estate that they own on the open market. Parcels around the school, parcels around Mills Lawn, to raise money for facilities. So that would be a perfect, venue for a CDSC to operate in.
So did they really say around Mills Lawn?
Yes.
Because that was given by the college explicitly for school.
I guess they'll figure that out, so it tells them.
Okay, for the check there's anyway. So, I would then make a motion to contribute the $500 to the CDIC, and that would be in care of the Community Foundation. They're the ones who are holding the 501c3, the nonprofit status for the CDIC until the 501c3 is approved by the federal government. So there's a motion, excuse me. Is there a motion?
I would like to make the motion to pay $500 as our share of the initial costs of
Okay.
I used to say CIC.
And I would second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion regarding that?
Yeah, my question, I was figuring that was 1,500. They were asking for $100 per person. At least, that's the way I heard it.
Well, we don't have 15 members.
No,
No, okay,
was it $100 per member?
500.
500.
It's not per trustee, it's per
Oh, okay,
participant.
Per organization, I guess.
okay.
In the CIC board.
The CIC board will be made up of 2 elected officials from the Village of Yellow Springs, 1 elected official from Miami Township, 1 or 2 members of the school board, the school superintendent, the president of Antioch College or his designate, a member from Community Foundation, and 3 or 4 other additional at-large members from the community. You have to have a minimum of 10, and you have to have a minimum of 6 elected officials out of the 10. You can have as many as you want, but you have to have a minimum of 10. Initially, the breakdown is 11, so whether it'll stay that way or whether the final membership, that hasn't been determined yet. Still working on getting a good set of bylaws put together, because you have to have, the very first thing you have to have basically to apply for a 501c3 status is a set of bylaws. You have to have a name, you have to have a set of bylaws, and you have to have designated boards of directors, so. So that's what the first thing, that's what we're working on. Okay, thank you very much. Any other?
Do you wanna call it
Oh.
roll?
Let's vote, please.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mr. Hollister?
Hold on a second.
Yes.
Mr. Crockett?
Yes.
Mr. Mutual?
Yes,
Okay, move on.
all right. Michelle. Is there any other old business this evening? Now, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Well, thank you all for coming.
All in favor?
Thank you, gentlemen.
And thanks for staying.
She was missed.